Oh, excuse me. I was just listening to a podcast. Good evening. My name is Nick Bennett, and I've come together with my colleagues, J.R. Manzo and Gina O. And together we come to form the group Who Cares? Podcasting. What is it? What is it used for? It's a form of broadcasting for MP3s and personal computers to be downloaded at one's own convenience. You can download it through RSS or Atom, which is a form of TiVo for the internet. The future holds great possibilities as MP3s are now widespread. These possibilities are endless for education and business purposes. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, J.R. Manzo, who's going to speak to you now about the history of podcasting.
Hi, my name is J.R. Manzo, and I'm going to talk about the history of podcasting. Podcasting began in 2001 using the RSS technology format. The true birth of podcasting began in 2003 by a former MTV VJ named Adam Curry. He is also known as the father of podcasting, as he developed a new technology which improved the way downloading podcasts would be available. He developed what was called the iPodder script. That technology helped make it easier for downloads of podcasts to MP3 players and personal computers. Podcasting articles appeared on the internet in early 2004. By late 2004, there were over 2 million hits for the word podcast on Google.com. This was less than a year's time. The phenomenon of podcasts grew tremendously, became very, very popular. It became so popular that even the president, George Bush, began to use podcasts. He used podcasts to deliver speeches and information to the people of America. Up next is Gina O to talk about business and podcasting.
Hi, my name is Gina O, and I'm going to talk about the business and podcasting. Podcasting can be a very useful tool because it allows customers to subscribe whatever programs that they want. And even after they subscribe the programs, they can even make possible for the program to be downloaded and updated in their iPod as soon as it becomes available. Apple iTunes added podcasting subscriptions so that the companies can attract more customers. According to the research, 29% of the adults who own MP3 players or iPod have downloaded a podcast. So how can the podcasting be used in business? Podcasting can be any topic. For example, in medical fields, the podcasting can be used for glaucoma, alternative medicines, weight loss, and many more. In the universities, the professors can use podcasts for lectures, online homework assignments, orientations, and student calendars. In museums, they can use podcasting for museum tours. One of the most benefit for the podcasting is that it's free to use along with the other software programs. Next is JR, who's going to talk about the education.
Education and podcasting. With digital media taking over the way that students learn and that professors teach, podcasting seems as though it would be a great technology and provide many benefits. It would provide many benefits for students and for professors, but at the same time it will also provide drawbacks for both. The benefit for students is that the access to data can be available anywhere with podcasting. This would extend learning, not just in the classroom, but extend learning beyond the classroom. It would also help integrate outside classroom and inside classroom teaching. Podcasting could also help students as it would provide them with better oral, literacy, and teamwork skills. For professors, the benefits of podcasting would be they could deliver lesson plans, assign assignments, calendar changes, and also lectures. A few years ago, Duke University gave all their incoming freshman students iPods preloaded with software that had orientation, assignments, and lesson plans as an experiment to see how well podcasting and education would work together. To provide the same experiments and get more information, other K through 12 schools began using this technology to see how well it would do in the classroom. Podcasts, although they could be beneficial, at the same time could have some drawbacks. One is they could be distracting for the students, as iPods also hold music, games, and photos, which could take away from the attention span of students. There's also that unmatched classroom interaction that we get from being in class. For example, if you had a professor that gave you a lecture to listen to, if you had a question about that lecture, who would you ask? You would have to wait before you emailed or got in contact with your professor in some sort of fashion in order to get the right, correct answer about your question. So those are some drawbacks that podcasts have. Coming up next is Nick to talk about our recommendation.
Thanks, JR. Thanks. Thank you. Hi, it's Nick again. Our team feels that podcasting would be much more beneficial for businesses. It would make coast-to-coast meetings much more easy. It would create much better networking. Also, if your boss wanted to give you something to take home so you didn't have to stay late that night, you could take it home. Take work away from work. We feel like it would be much too distractful for students to have iPods in class because you can download music, games, MP3s, pictures, anything else. Also, we feel like the students will get accustomed to having lectures on the internet. And as you know, you can't talk back to the professor, you can't ask them questions on the internet. That's why we feel, as a team, it's better for business. Thank you. Good night.